Welcome, listeners, to the latest in the series Super Terra Meets. Today, I have the pleasure of a second conversation with a really interesting project that's taking storytelling and art to a new level. I first spoke with one of the team members a few weeks ago, and they have featured previously in some of my articles. But this is the first opportunity to have a voice audio interview. So it gives me great pleasure to welcome to the conversation the team from Enchanted Art.
Yeah, thanks for having us here. I think it's great that you're willing to talk to us because we are, as you know, a very small and relatively unknown project. So I think this chat will be a good way for us to perhaps let the NFT space know more about us as well.
Absolutely, and one of the things I really enjoy. I mean, I speak with large projects, small projects, individual artists, and figures throughout the Terra scene. And I think no matter who I speak to, I just think it's great to have that opportunity to share thoughts, ideas, and obviously ultimately, give us all a platform to boost the awareness of the Terra ecosystem. I think as you both know, there are a lot of different projects that are developing on the chain and have done over the last really year and a half now. And from an NFT perspective, probably coming up to 8-9 months now since the first projects were being developed. The likes of the Galactic Punks, Lunar Bulls, and so on. So it's great. And I think I first spotted you on Twitter, probably start of the year, and there was some very interesting short threads, getting people to think about perspectives on life. And the one that really caught my eye, and it was quite a very moving piece about someone who'd lost their beloved pet, and how they were sort of dealing with that and turning it into sort of a bit of a kind of therapy based story about how their friend was in a better place and was happy. And I thought that was a really moving use of words that really kind of created a fantastic vision, and a positive vision for anyone who's lost a friend, loved one, or animal. So that was really my first introduction. Then I think we spoke probably a few days after that and just had a fairly sort of informal chat. I mean, all of my conversations are informal. It's intended to be that way. It's not a grilling. It's a friendly chat. So I think with that in mind, I mean, it'd be great if to hear from you both. I guess to start with, a bit of the background, the origins of the project, and also kind of where you've got this kind of love of, the kind of the Disney world, but also the love of kind of weaving words into stories.
So maybe I'll start, and I'll start first with thank you, thanking you for reading the story because this story was actually written from my own perspective. I lost my dog maybe in 2017 thereabout, and then I guess I've always been writing, and it was a pretty tough time to get through.
Mm,
And so I decided the best way is through expressing myself through words. And I think after coming out of it, I realized how powerful words are because, as you said, it gives people a vision. And I think that is how we came about, in fact.
mm,
Um, the idea of putting a picture onto words and yet having the words there as itself to give that picture. I know it's a bit circular, but I think that's how powerful the combination of words and pictures are. And so, um, Charlene and I, we are actually partners, and I think it's quite a coincidence that I write and she draws. And so we actually decided to come up with this project after a long time of me just sitting there collecting NFTs and her just looking at me. At first, she was like,
mhm.
she was wondering what I was doing because I'll spend my time just scrolling through, just looking at pictures and like just asking her, oh, do you think this is nice? Do you think this vibes with me? That kind of thing. And
Yeah.
then I realized that maybe we should try doing something that we've always wanted to do, which is to work together in the creative aspect. Because previously we talked to Finn about it, and in life it's kind of busy. We have a job outside of the NFT space, and we and in the society that we live in, it's a bit very competitive, and most of us are driven towards this arena of academic pursuits and academic success and uh, professional success, that kind of thing. And I think it takes a lot of time away from what you like to do. And in this case, it's your hobbies. And for us, it will be writing and drawing. So we really try to do that on the side, but it's kind of difficult, especially when you don't have a fixed goal in mind, because you. It's very easy for you to give excuses about, oh, I don't have time to do this, so maybe I'll not do my writing today, or maybe I'll not draw today. So in that sense, creating this project gave our hobbies a sense of purpose.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so that's why we decided to start Enchanted Art. And yeah, and we noticed that on the NFT space, we have a lot of things that are generative. So we have like projects that launch 1,000 NFTs at once. And it's great because it really gives people a peek into how many traits there can be, the variety of characters there can be. But I think for me, it's more of the story behind each individual character. So the characters, the NFTs kind of, I feel, don't really have a specific story to them. Like, and they don't become an identifiable character. And so we decided to make NFTs or make characters that have these stories to them, and we hope to be able to bring people to the Enchanted universe, introduce them to these characters, and yeah, hopefully they become icons in the future, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Excellent.
So I think Charlene can talk about
Mhm.
the inspiration of the art, especially Disney.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier, I think you were asking about like how the art is, inspired by a very specific style. So I think for Adriel and I, we both grew up watching a lot of like animated films, and I've always loved to do art and draw ever since I was young. But I mean, as Adriel alluded to earlier, to give you some context, me and Adriel are from Singapore. And if you know anything about Singapore, it's just your very typical, Asian society. And just for a bit of background, me and Adriel we are, okay, I would say we studied law, and Adriel is currently training to be a lawyer, and we kind of went down the very conventional path, but we also wanted to still do our art and our hobbies on the side. So I was never able to pursue art like in school or professionally in terms of like my main job, but it's always been something I really like. And with the Disney movies, I think when we started doing the stories and the characters for Enchanted Art, it was very natural for me to be inspired by characters or that style of drawing that I loved a lot when I was young, and I still love them now. And especially with our recent collaboration with Gravidal on the Gravicats,
Mhm.
that whole style is inspired by Disney, but also a lot of like Japanese film companies. So basically anything by Miyazaki or Studio Ghibli. I mean, he has quite a few films that are cat centric. So that definitely helped a lot when trying to come up with the look of whether it's the work on Enchanted Art or Gravicats. Yeah.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I think
Yeah.
to add as well, because I'm sure when we were all younger, we grew up with these characters around us, and in a way, these characters became they stuck with us, like they had such great stories to them. For me, it's Marvel because I collect comics, and yeah, you read the stories behind the characters, you follow them through their journeys, the things they did, the things they didn't do, the things how they failed, how they succeeded, and it really gave them dimensions. Like they gave the characters dimensions, and that's why characters resonate so well with, I would say, kids, and not just kids, even adults right now. And so that's what we're really trying to do. We're trying to create icons, create characters that anyone can identify with. So maybe next time we'll have, for example, in the Snow Globe Saviors collection, we have 8 animals, and then we really wanted to give them uh, a personality, which is why, in a way, when the characters are released, they will have names, because right now they're just called the elephant, the lion,
Yeah.
and that kind of thing. But I think that's part of the story, because for Snow Globe Saviors, their habitats were destroyed, and so they were nameless in that sense, and so they're trapped in this snow globe. But once they are released, then it's apt, or it's crucial for them to have a name in order to sort of return back into the real world, that kind of thing. And these characters will follow them in like in the next few installments of the collection. But we don't really have a concrete plan on that. It's just an example of how we really envision the project developing. Yeah.
Well, thank you. So much to take in there, and obviously familiar with some of the background from our previous conversations. But I think for me, what I really love is that both of you are pursuing a passion that you've always had, and I totally reflect and understand on the balances between the expectations of modern society. I myself do this as a spare time hobby. I have a main job that I do for most of the week, and anything I do in and around Terra is purely because I love the space, I love the community, and this is just this is a passion that I have, so I can totally relate to that. I think what I like as well about the development, I think it's deeper than an image, and it is all about developing that character, that personality, and I think building on that. I'm keen to see, and I've already seen some indications this is the plan, how you can sort of bring the community into helping shape the depth of those characters and the future, if you like, paths of their journeys.
Yeah. So I think, for example, we did for Snow Globe Saviors, we did a giveaway for the snake, and how we actually did the giveaway was not just retweet, follow, like that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted to add sort of a community contribution aspect. So we based it off the person who gives the best name for the snake would walk away with the snake, because then they are worthy to become its protector, that kind of thing. And so the person actually named the snake Cecil, and we thought it was simple and nice and cute in that sense. Imagine the snake coming out and then he's called Cecil. Yeah. So I think for the Snow Globe Saviors, we do want to give holders the option to name their characters. I think that's one of the steps we're doing. And for now, I think it's a bit hard to really get the community to contribute, because in a sense we don't really have a community in that sense. I don't know if it makes sense. We don't have a Discord group, but we do have a Telegram group.
Yes.
But right now the Telegram group is just to get to know each other and just talk about anything under the sun. But in terms of engagement on our Twitter, we will look at people contributing to the story. Maybe we will host some competitions about the best story, that kind of thing. And then once we build on that, we can slowly develop either the Snow Globe Savior collection or the Sushi Armageddon collection. And just, I guess this will be a good time to provide some alpha. Um, for the Sushi Armageddon collection, we do want to reward holders with something, and we are actually thinking of airdropping either a nice poem for each sushi, and maybe it'll be haikus because it'll be apt because Japanese culture and stuff like that.
Yes.
And so, I was thinking of airdropping some haikus soon based on the sushi's hobby. So if you notice in the Sushi Armageddon collection, there are certain hobbies. Each sushi has a hobby that they adopted.
Yes.
And so I may write haikus based on that hobby. We really just give depth to what the sushis are doing, what you would see a sushi with arms doing with their hobbies, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Absolutely. And again, I love the way that you're developing characters and depth and actually, giving the community that opportunity to, if you like, name the ownership. Obviously, you mentioned about Cecil the Snake a couple of minutes ago, and also the depths of stories. I think what's really refreshing for me as well, and I think this reflects your creativity. Some projects will talk about a massively long roadmap and all these great ideas, but what you're doing is you're actually sort of saying, I've got a general path that I know I want to take, and there are a range of different things that will develop as the story unfolds. And I think that's true storytelling, and for me it's also true potential for collaboration. And with that in mind, I know obviously you've had the excellent Gravicats, and by the way, I am a huge cat lover. I have a cat of my own, and I do have a lot of time. Mine was a rescue, and there's a big a big community globally that love animals, as we all know. But I'd be interested to know, and I think when we first spoke, you teased that something was coming, which I guess was the Gravi Cats, but you couldn't reveal at the time. Any other collaborations that are being developed or coming up that you can talk about, or even just give a general indication of thoughts around them?
Okay, so I think first, actually, Charlene is a huge cat lover. She has 2 cats. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
The main cat is a ginger cat, so that's like the main face of Gravicats because it's based on the original Hellcats, like the orange cat. And
Yes.
one of my cats is a tabby cat, so yeah, it's kind of nice being able to draw cats, for a few hours, every few days. And if you look at my display profile for in Discord, which is like what you're looking at
Indeed,
right now.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, that's based on my older cat, who is like a tuxedo cat. So she's black and white.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I love cats. I don't know what else to say. This project was a steal for me for sure. I really lucked out. So it could have been apes, it could have been frogs, but no, it was cats. So very happy about that.
Excellent.
Yeah,
That's
so
great.
yeah, it's great that we're on this project. Yeah, so for collaborations, I think for us it's been difficult because we have difficulties managing our time in that sense, or to really commit to. We don't want to commit to other projects, but not being able to deliver. I don't know. Yeah, I think that's the main idea, because we don't want to say, oh, we'll collaborate with you, but yet not being able to offer the best quality. Because right now our best quality is going to Gravicat, which is our main focus for now. And I think the build up it's quite long, because the Gravicats planning actually took place around last month, and then we are still developing. We are working towards an April launch date. So if you think about it, we have that whole period blocked out where we can't really do many collaborations. And I think another thing about collaborations that I've seen, but it may not be true, but that's how I usually see the collaborations. It's always a giveaway. between from two projects, right?
Hmm.
So you have project A and project B coming together for collaboration, and then they do the giveaway together. I think that is good in terms of getting awareness about your project and yeah, just putting yourself out there in the NFT space. But I think for us, we are really looking for collaborations in the sense of Gravicats. Yeah. So we really work on a single project together and we develop something. And I think I don't know, I was talking to Elo from Gravidal and we're just musing about it and saying how it's, I'm not sure if it's the first one or maybe one of the first ones where actually three projects are doing one project together. Yeah. So I think it might be one of the first, I'm not sure. Because most of the time it's projects collaborating on a single piece with their own styles. So
Yes.
for example, you have project A style, project B style, and they combine into an NFT. But for us right now, it's really three projects doing one thing, one nice project style. And I think that really, I think for us, it's more, I think it adds more value for ourselves because we actually are working on something new, creating something new, which is what we want to strive to do. And I would say that we've been reached out by other people or other projects to work on collaborations. There is one, but I can't reveal it, sorry.
No,
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah.
It's always important to
Yeah.
have things to leave for later. So that's
Yeah.
really good. Now,
there's one that will be in about 6 months time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I can't review that one.
No, of
Yeah.
course, of course. And again, I like your approach. It's about building a deeper relationship with one particular group and having a kind of a depth of focus. Whereas other projects, and equally, there's nothing wrong with this at all, they'll have perhaps lots of smaller collaborations that are, a brief coming together of two different art styles. But I think what you're doing there, I can see already, is going to develop into quite a long and deeper relationship with the whole Gravicats opportunity and again, I mean, within this space, and as you know, I speak to a lot of projects, and I love the spirit of collaboration, sharing, and support that exists. And I'm sure when you're able to do so, you will you'll reveal the second piece. But again, something that I observed is you're doing things at a sensible pace. You're developing things. You're not rushing things to market, and I think that's something else I've seen in Terra. That I think generally the projects that do well are the ones that really kind of take a step back, think about what they're doing, and actually take their time. And there have been some tremendous developments that we've seen in the relatively short time that Terra NFTs have been live. I mean, I guess one question I'd like to ask is obviously something that I ask in most of my interviews. So, what was it about Terra versus perhaps one of the other chains that attracted you both to use that as if you like, the launch chain for your project?
Yeah, I think I'll take this one, Charlene, because I'm the NFT collector.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So I entered the crypto space last year around August, and actually Luna was my first token that I bought. So in that sense, it really started from there. It's a kind of a new ecosystem. Like the Terra ecosystem was relatively new then, still new. And it was the time where there were still no NFTs on Terra.
Yes.
So I guess I really grew with it because my first NFT was the Galactic Palm.
Excellent. Yeah. Yes.
So I think that was one of the factors why we came on the NFT space. Also, because conveniently I was on it, so Charlene just joined in, that kind of thing. And I think when we look at maybe, let's say we compare Ethereum to Terra.
Yes.
Right. So, in my honest opinion, when we look at it, when I see it, I do think that in terms of volume and height and sale, we in a quantitative aspect, we may actually do better on Ethereum, because I think Ethereum right now has been developed for a pretty long time, and the perspective towards NFTs have sort of found a balance. I believe I talked to you about this before, the balance between
Absolutely.
NFTs as utilities and utility and NFT as pure art. And I think Ethereum has grown large enough to accommodate that balance. And that's why I would say that if we went straight into Ethereum, we maybe would have done better in a more quantitative aspect. But I think I decided to stick with the Terra ecosystem because I just really wanted to grow with it, and also sort of be one of the sort of leading voices, if possible, for this idea of a balance between NFTs as utility and NFTs as art. Because I think personally right now it's not that apparent. I mean, utility is great because it really gives art another dimension where you don't see it in the real world. And that is great for art being on the NFT space. But I feel like we shouldn't lose that idea of art as art just because we are chasing utility. And so I hope to be able to sort of use Enchanted Art as a platform as well to really champion this idea of bringing back balance to the NFT force, if I put it that way.
And that resonates well with me, because I think one of the great things that you've hit upon there is the art is absolutely important. And again, we've seen in the last few days examples of projects, not on Terra, but in ETH that have
Are you
launched.
talking about Pixelmon?
Yes, indeed. Some of the most atrocious art I've ever seen. It looked like a 5-year-old had done it. And of course, they've made an enormous amount of money, and there's a bit of a furore around what's going to happen next. But actually, what that sort of project does is it can damage other projects by association. But I think the good thing about Terra is we've not really had anything like that within our developing world. And I think as well, community is so crucial in Terra. And obviously, I know there's community in other chains as well. But I think we almost can act and should act as almost a policing force for quality and hold poor execution to account. I mean, it sounds quite staggering that I think in terms of Pixelmon, they minted at 3 ETH each. People didn't know what they were getting, and then the reveal was just basically trash. And I think it's going to create a lot of very funny memes and general smirks from people. But at the heart of this, it's a very, very questionable practice that's been undertaken by the project team. And there is a danger, if it's not handled in the right way and not condemned in the right way, that it could undermine other projects' attempts to build something that is genuine, sustainable, and community based. So yeah, I mean, there's been quite a few interesting rugs in ETH. I've watched them all from a distance because I don't have that sort of money to throw around. But I do feel sorry for the individuals that have lost essentially around about 8 to 9 thousand US dollars for what looks like a child's homework.
Yeah. Charlene?
Yeah, if I can just add to this, as full disclosure, I am like a NFT baby noob, however you want to phrase it.
Yeah.
Like I only am in this space for one reason, and that is because of Adriel.
Yes.
So yeah, I wouldn't have gotten into this space. I wouldn't have known about it. So maybe I can't really provide like that relative comparison of someone who is very experienced, who has been trading and flipping NFTs, or someone who has been on both like Terra and Ethereum. But as a lay person who has been thrown into this community very very recently, it has been I don't know. Everyone is just so supportive. Like I
Yes.
always joke with Adriel, like why are people not this supportive in real life? Like I have to go into the NFT space before people are like, oh my gosh, I love your art and things like that. So yeah, it's been kind of an interesting experience. And what you were saying about how certain NFTs are, they look like the drawing of a 5-year-old or something like that. I
Yeah.
think that is basically how like a majority of the public end up viewing NFTs. Like you
Yes.
go and you see the memes, and then you see all these like NFT bro memes, and then the NFTs that they use for the memes are obviously not objectively very appealing.
Yes.
So sometimes when I'm talking to my friends about it, or even like our family, and they think about NFTs, it's kind of like, yeah, it kind of gives a bad rep to the general concept of an NFT. But me being in this space, like us being in this specific space, the experience has been completely different. And yeah, I really enjoy like sharing about that. Like, yeah, actually the people we work with are so great, and we are working on creating art that people that is easy on the eyes. We
Yes.
put in effort to make it look good, and it's just great that there's a story behind it and all of that. So I think that has been really fun and interesting for
E-
us.
No, I think absolutely. I think you've hit the nail on the head. I mean, the thing is, I've never really been involved in the ETH NFT space. Not I My own journey is one where the very short version of that is yes, I've been interested in the different currencies for a number of years. Discovered Terra, just over what 14, 15 months ago, and then obviously the NFT space came into Terra, and I've just been really blown away by it and really enjoy it. And I love the community aspect, talking to lovely people such as yourselves. And I think you're right. I've experienced as someone who's come into this space new in terms of I'd never sat down and done interviews before. This all happened due to a conversation I had with someone in December, and it all sort of whatever we're all trying to do, whether it's creative art, whether it's supporting the creative community, everyone is so nice about it. They're like, "Oh, this is great."
Yeah.
You don't get that sort of defensiveness that you can in other worlds where people who have been there for a long time are like, why are you doing this? I've done
Yeah.
this for years. There's none of that sort of thing. It's all welcoming with open arms, and I think it's a great space. But coming back to the observations on some of the terrible art, we I think as a collective group are quite a mature audience in terms of we will say if we think something's great, or we'll push back. And there have been the odd project that I've seen where you look at the art. Well, this is within Terra, and think, oh, I'm not sure about that. But the majority, they're really well thought out, and I always like to understand a bit more about. The background, the people behind the projects, the roadmap, and everything else, which is why I enjoy doing these sorts of conversations. And it also gives you guys a nice platform to share your plans and hopes, and give a real kind of human side to the project, which I think is really, really important. Uh, Obviously, you both mentioned Finn, a really great guy. I've had a number of conversations with him. He's like me, very passionate about the art, the community, and the ecosystem. And I think we're all here to support each other, and I think it's probably not unique, but it's probably fairly rare in modern society that there's such a nice
Yeah.
vibe, and it's lovely.
I was gonna say like this is I don't know, like the internet has kind of become this crazy cancel culture
Hmm.
cesspool of hate. Like not even in the crypto space, like just talking about like I don't know, Facebook or something like that. Where like putting yourself out there, like posting a photo, posting art, posting, your work can be kind of like a very vulnerable thing to do. But then here it's the complete opposite. Everyone is really supportive. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think on that same note, at some stage I'll be brave enough to get in front of a camera. But at this point in time, it's quite interesting when I talk to people from outside of the Terra NFT world about what I do. they look at me like I'm bonkers.
Oh, that's awful.
But it's okay though, because the community I'm involved in appreciates what I do. I think if you almost forget there's probably only one maximum 2% of people that know about well, no, it's more than that, know about crypto, but are actively involved. It's a small percentage of the overall population, and then there's a sub percentage of that that are involved in NFTs. So it's a new and growing space, and I think in 3 or 4 years' time, there'll be a lot more of a maturity in the general world about what we all do in this space, and probably people will look back and there'll be those articles, I wish I'd done X or known about Y. Well, it's here right now and it's happening, and you can be involved. It's just that adoption curves mean that people don't always jump on, because at this stage, from an outsider's perspective, there's probably a lot of risk, it's unproven, etc. But what we're doing, and I think you are both a good example of this, and I am as well, we're doing this as a side of, if you like, for want of a better expression, a day job. We've got a main, there's a main role there, but we're pursuing a hobby and a passion at the side of that, and this space allows that and encourages it, and I think it's fantastic. So yeah, I think keep doing what you're doing. I mean, in terms of, I guess, just to round off, are there any things that we should all look out for that you'll be doing in the next few days and weeks, so I can kind of point the listeners to keep an eye out, and obviously I'll certainly encourage them when this interview is complete, with various links and references to the project, so that people can go and find your Twitter and engage with you directly, which I think is really important as well.
All right. So for the coming days and week, we'll be focusing, I would say, 90% on Gravicats.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure if you've seen, we have a Gravicats Twitter account now.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually run by a community member from Hellcat. So that's very nice as well, because he was willing to help us, help Ilu and us as well.
Excellent.
So we have that Twitter account, and most of the reviews will be done over there. So we'll do maybe a few reviews in a week. So I think people should keep their eyes peeled for those. And
Instagram as well. So he's also
we have Instagram.
Instagram account, and I mean, we have quite a few photos on there now, just of like the different traits and skins and stuff like that. So if you want like a quick look at or to get a general feel of what the collection will look like, Instagram is definitely like a good way to start. Yeah.
Yeah, the Gravicats account on Instagram is Gravicats NFT, so very simple.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I can just say, for the people that are excited about Gravicats, I would say that the stuff you see right now is just the tip of the iceberg. We have very nice treats, I would say. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I think that will be exciting. And because we are focusing more on Gravicats,
Mm-hmm.
we won't really be doing much of our previous two collections. I think we will go back to focusing on those two once we are done launching Gravicats.
Yes.
As I mentioned about the airdrop, I'll try my best to start writing those text stories or poems for the airdrop, but no guarantees, because I think I'm quite busy on a day-to-day basis. But I do try to spend some time. I will try to spend some time starting on that for the community. Yeah. So now we have a giveaway on Twitter for sushi number 13, so people can maybe look to that to try to get a sushi for themselves. And yeah, that's about it. We have the same Twitter account that you can follow and just chat with us anytime you want. I'll be there to answer. Oh yeah, and we have the Telegram as well. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I think there's lots of great things happening there, and I think what you're doing is absolutely right. Focus on the core key, collaboration, with the Gravicats, and obviously we look forward to seeing other things that develop over the coming weeks and months. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you both, and I've really enjoyed having this opportunity to delve a little bit more into the background, both of your passions, and also an understanding of where things are potentially going next for the project. And as always, wish you guys well, and look forward to perhaps getting you back on to have a chat in a few weeks' time.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It's been a great chat, and yeah, when we launch, we do have some ideas in the works, but we'll keep that for another time.
Marvelous. Look forward to that. Great. Thank you very much indeed. Speak soon.